Is up, everyone? Happy Tuesday evening. Welcome to the 2025 Fantasy Football Playoffs. I hope you guys are looking forward to an exciting first round of the playoffs. We're doing the Waiver Wire show tonight. If you guys do have questions or comments or concerns, please get them in the comments and I'll get to them shortly. I'm going to open up and just cover the Waiver Wire Report, which is available for members on thefantasyfellowship.com. Just check it out. $8 a month starting membership. And let's get right into it. We're going to go over the injuries to monitor, and then we'll get into each position and what I'm thinking you guys might be looking for. Quarterback injuries, obviously Daniel Jones with a torn Achilles. I need to add Riley Leonard to this as well because it doesn't look like he's going to play. The Colts have brought in Phillip Rivers, so that tells you where they're at with their quarterback situation right now. So pour one out for Daniel Jones. He was having a really nice season, but it looks like the Colts are going to come up short this season. Justin Herbert with the hand injury. He didn't further injure it last night, but it did look like it was really affecting him. He's going to probably play week 15. I'm not too worried about that. Jaden Daniels with that elbow and just the Commanders season, it is what it is, but we're going to watch his reports. We might see Marcus Mariota this week. New York Jets don't know who their quarterback's going to be. Tyrod Taylor left with a groin injury. Justin Fields was not active last week. He had a knee injury, so we're going to watch for tomorrow's first report on who that quarterback might be. Worst case scenario, it might be I think he's a rookie, Brady Cook. Maybe he's a second-year guy. We'll watch for the Jets reports tomorrow. And then I'm watching Geno Smith with the right hand injury. I think Kenny Pickett ends up starting for the Raiders at Philadelphia this weekend. Running backs. The big one here is Devon Achane with the Dolphins, the rib injury. I think they play Monday Night Football against the Steelers this week. I could be mistaken, but we're going to watch for his report. We're probably not going to get a report until Thursday on that. They said he could come back in. Maybe he's limited on Thursday. I'm not going to be too worried about it if he's limited. If he misses, then we'll have some pause, but we'll watch for Achane. We'll talk about options behind him after in just a little bit. Alvin Kamara still waiting to see if he returns to practice with that knee injury. Tyrone Tracy had a bye week last week. He had a hip thing before. He should be okay, but we'll watch for his reports. Trey Benson, man, it doesn't sound like we're going to see Trey Benson at any point the rest of the way. So we'll watch for his practice reports, but he should have been back by now. Nick Chubb left with the rib injury on the other night here. We'll watch for his reports. More Cardinals backs, Amari DiMercato with an ankle injury. Keaton Mitchell had some huge runs the other day for the Ravens, but he left with a knee injury, so we'll watch for his report. And then I think Marshawn Lloyd has a chance to play for the Packers. Not saying we're starting Marshawn Lloyd, but he's worth a pickup in deeper leagues. Wide receiver CeeDee Lamb with the concussion. That one looked really, really bad. I'm thinking CeeDee Lamb's doubtful for this weekend. Drake London, they play Thursday Night Football. I don't think he's going to make it in enough time, so probably another week without Drake London. You have DK Metcalf questionable. He was hospitalized or something with a stomach thing. They're saying that he's probably going to play, but we'll watch for his reports. And then Marvin Harrison Jr. with that heel injury, questionable. Not sure if we're going to see him. Rome Odunze with the foot injury. They kind of said it's week to week. So I'm listing him as doubtful. Prepare for no Odunze week 15. Garrett Wilson, he's eligible to return off IR this week, but I don't expect him to play. Maybe he gets some practicing in, which would be nice, and maybe he returns week 16. Mike Evans, on a short week, I still don't know if he's going to play. I'd like to see him practice some more and maybe get ready for week 16. The Buccaneers should be able to win this game without him, so maybe we find out more information on Evans tomorrow. Alec Pierce, questionable for the Colts. Parker Washington with a hip injury, also questionable. And then the tight end position, Zach Ertz, man, tore his ACL. Season ending. This might be a career-ending injury for him as well. Just tearing your ACL in December is the worst thing you can do. 9 to 10 week recovery time for ACLs. He's not going to be ready for the start of next season. And who knows if we see Zach Ertz play football next year. So bummer there. And then we're going to watch David Njoku, who's got a knee injury. He left the game and did not return on Sunday. If you need a quarterback this weekend, Trevor Lawrence at home against the Jets is your friend. CJ Stroud at home against the Cardinals, another option, and then Sam Darnold at home against the Seahawks or against the Indianapolis Colts. Those would be the ones that I'm looking for. If you need a deeper one, JJ McCarthy at Dallas could be nice. Superflex leagues, go ahead and add Justin Fields if possible. And then I would even add Kenny Pickett. I would maybe look into adding Riley Leonard in case he's ready to go next week or even possibly this week. I'm not adding Phillip Rivers. I'm not adding the 44-year-old guy who hasn't played in 4 years. And then maybe look at Brady Cook as well. If you need a running back this week, there's not really any running backs to pull up off the waivers and just plug him into your lineup. But Tyler Algier should be added. I do think Blake Corum should have been added, and Jalen Wright. He is looking like the handcuff here for Devon Achane. He primarily was the next man up in this game on Sunday. Had a lot of carries. He got a rushing touchdown. He looked good. Jalen Wright would be a priority. And then other guys, like Devin Singletary, Chris Rodriguez, maybe Bam Knight if you need somebody. And then deep stuff here. I mentioned Marshawn Lloyd. Dylan Sampson, a little bit of intrigue there because they put Jerome Ford on IR today. And then, Sean Tucker, Brian Robinson, just your handcuffs, continue to add some handcuffs here for the rest of the way. If you need a receiver this weekend, Luther Burden would be the one that I'm looking at here with Rome Odunze probably not playing this weekend. I think Burden might be their best receiver on the roster, even if Odunze is healthy right now. So I want to add Burden in all leagues. Jaden Higgins, Jaden Reed, those guys should have been added already. And then a deep one, Ryan Flournoy for the Cowboys. I'm assuming CeeDee Lamb's not going to play with this concussion. He's of interest to me. And then just if T. Higgins also had the big concussion stuff, maybe Andre Yoshivas should be picked up in deeper leagues. And then deep leagues, Jameer DK, Devon Vele, Adam Thielen, Jack Besh, Jalen Coker for you guys there. If you need a tight end, Harold Fannon's probably picked up, but if he's out there, I love the Harold Fannon right now. And then Colston Loveland, Brenton Strange, those guys are probably picked up as well. So the deepest of tight ends here would be Colby Parkinson, Isaiah Likely, and Mike Gesicki. I think Gesicki gets a boost here if T. Higgins is out, so he would be a fun play against the Ravens this weekend. And then if you need a defense this weekend, widely available defenses will be the Jags, who get the Jets at home. The 49ers get the Titans at home off a bye week. And then the Bears at home against Cleveland, I think, is fine. The Giants at home against Washington's another good one. And then Eagles, Texans, Seahawks, probably already owned, but worth picking up if you need somebody. So that is the Waiver Wire Report rundown for Week 15. Again, if you guys are interested in checking that out, it's on thefantasyfellowship.com. There is a free section where I can kind of just show you guys my favorite ads, but then the Waiver Wire Report, which has all the depth that we just talked about, that's up on the membership site. Good evening to Harris. Dropping Vidal or Slayton in Dynasty? I would probably, it likely doesn't matter. Both these guys are probably upgradable at some point here. I think for now, I don't see you starting either of these guys this week here. I think I'm going to hold on to Vidal because I think he's looked good the last few weeks. And who knows, Amarian Hampton, one injury away, and you got a guy that you must start. Whereas Slayton, Slayton is just kind of what he is already. If it would take maybe a Wan'Dale Robinson injury for us to be interested in Slayton. And I don't know. Giants passing attack, it's kind of whatever. I guess I would go Slayton here. Are we dropping Reed or Stevenson? I probably need more context here. I think you're more likely to start Jaden Reed in the flex over Stevenson going forward. So I'm going to say Stevenson's probably the drop for me. And then good evening, Double Tap. Hope you're doing well here. I don't know what is this emoji here. We got a snake bite from some goner here. I think that's a snake. That looks like a snake. Maybe it is. Who knows? But good evening, my man from Twitch. And then Cup or Slayton. If we're starting one guy this weekend, I'm probably starting Slayton over Cup. I don't think Cup should be really even rostered in redraft leagues. I know he caught a touchdown last weekend, but not a lot of interest in Cooper Cup right now. Slayton with a healthy Jackson Dart does excite me a little bit enough to play him over Cooper Cup. If you guys play in competitive deep leagues like the one that I'm in here, the Fellowship Money League, by the way, congrats to Harris on your number 1 seed. But if you play in competitive leagues, you're looking at guys like Isaiah Likely, Colby Parkinson as your top available players. Pat Bryant's another name here at receiver that should be added. I think Mike Gesicki should be added from the tight end group. Jalen Coker, Ryan Flournoy. These are the names that we're looking at in most competitive leagues. And then I do like Dylan Sampson on the low too here because he is the passing down back with Jerome Ford out. We saw Dylan Sampson catch 5 passes last week for 64 yards. Maybe that's something that they continue to do here. I'm not saying to start Dylan Sampson, but he's worth picking up for sure. And just the waiver wires, man, are beat up pretty good. If you need a defense, again, I mentioned the Bears, the 49ers, those guys are widely available here. Maybe even the Cowboys this weekend against the Minnesota Vikings. I know the Cowboys got lit up by Jahmyr Gibbs and company, but they've been playing better the last month or so. And I don't hate the matchup here at home against Minnesota. So it's week 15. The waiver wire show is not as important as it once was, but we can open it up for any start sit questions if you guys have them, whatever you guys need tonight. Um, I'm pretty excited for Week 15. The best balls are entering the playoffs, and we had a pretty good best ball run over on DraftKings this year, so I'm pretty excited about the teams that I got moving forward. I was going to pull up my exposures. Um, and I gotta log into DraftKings now. But uh, I'm a huge fan of best ball, and this is one of the most important weeks here. Just getting your team through and into the best ball playoffs is a really fun thing. And if you guys play, if you guys play in a few redraft leagues and you're looking to do more leagues, I think you got to consider doing best ball leagues because the playoff rush of getting a team, whether it's underdog or DraftKings, but just getting a team into the playoffs provides such a huge rush. And if you can somehow get them to keep winning and getting to the final weekend, it's just a lot of fun. So check out the best ball stuff on DraftKings, on Underdog. But yeah, what do we got for player news today? Let's take a peek at that. I don't know what to make of the Phillip Rivers stuff. They're saying he's got a real chance to start Week 15. I would be totally shocked if they throw him out there this weekend. But, if Riley Leonard's not available, what do they really have to lose? So we'll see. I don't expect Phillip Rivers to play, and I would not recommend playing him in a super flex league. You're not playing him in a 1 QB league. I think probably just going to avoid Phillip Rivers for now. Cade Otton did not practice today, so back-to-back DNPs on a short week. That's a little fishy. Mike Evans was limited today, so he does have a chance to play. I think that'd be a nice boost for them. Kyle Pitts was limited today in practice. But again, Drake London did not participate in Tuesday's walkthrough. Tomorrow is going to be the big day of practice I think for these guys, so we'll see what happens tomorrow. But this is kind of a stinky game here on Thursday Night Football to start the fantasy playoffs. Saints or Seahawks for all of the playoffs. Let me take a look here. I mean, it's hard to argue. I mean, one team is the Seahawks, who are one of the best teams in football. The other team is the Saints. I think the Seahawks have the number one fantasy defense in most formats. They get the Colts this weekend, which, yeah, I'll start them against the Colts. And then they get the Rams Week 16, which I'm not super excited about. They kind of held the Rams to 21 points back in Week 11. They got one fumble recovery. So it's not the worst spot if you need to play them in Week 16, but I do want to play them Week 17 against the Carolina Panthers. I think that's a good spot there as well. But then you have the New Orleans Saints, who are playing good football the last month. They're going to get Carolina at home, the Jets at home, and the Tennessee Titans at home or at Tennessee. I think I go the Saints here, man. They are playing really good football of late here. They're winning games too, which is pretty nice to see. I think I go New Orleans Saints rest of the way. I'm going to try and find a way to hold on to Seattle just in case. And I think holding two defenses going into the fantasy playoffs is kind of what I've always wanted to do. But yeah, the defense this week against the Colts, like I want to play them this week. If I can add the Saints for future weeks, I would do so. I'm willing to cut backup running backs and receivers for that if I have to, Harris. And good evening to Lee, Terry, Debo, Dowdle in the flex. So I don't have my rankings out yet for this week. We got to see if it's going to be Mariota or Jaden Daniels. I'm assuming it's Mariota this week. So I do have a little bit of worry there. And then with Rico Dowdle, like last we saw them, Chuba Hubbard came back from the dead and he totally took back over a huge share of that workload. They're going to get the Saints this weekend, which I like that matchup. They've already played the Saints a few weeks back here. Chuba didn't do much in that game. He only had 3 carries and a catch. Rico in that game, though, he did have a team high 18 carries, 53 yards, a touchdown, 3 catches. So that was a Rico game back then. So I'm really unsure on how that backfield's going to look, especially coming off a bye where they're both healthy and both involved in the practice stuff right now. I think I'm going to go Terry McLaurin, who didn't have a great game against the Vikings, 3 for 41, but he had a great game against the Broncos, 7 for 96 and a touchdown with Mariota. I think if it's Mariota, I'm going to go Debo, and that's probably how I would do it. Let's use this week to learn about Rico Dowdle and Chuba and see what happens going forward. But I guess I'll go Terry McLaurin here. And it's a good matchup for Terry too. The Giants corners do allow wide receiver points here. And yeah, this is a really good week for the Seahawks. I think it's one of those weeks where everybody kind of eats. Sam Darnold throws 2 touchdowns. Kenneth Walker, Zach Charbonnet both, get their workload in, and probably some special teams defensive stuff, honestly, for the Seahawks. My bad. I meant Terry, Debo, then Rico. Too much Terry on the brain here, so Freudian slip. But I'm going to lean with Terry. Is what it comes down to. As far as other player news or things that we're watching for this week, the Steelers tight end Darnell Washington's in concussion protocol. That could be interesting if he's down, because that could maybe make Jonnu Smith or Pat Freiermuth a little more interesting if you need a tight end. I think DK Metcalf's going to be fine with that weird stomach thing. I have no idea what that's about, but I think he's going to be fine for this week. They're saying good things about Keaton Mitchell playing this weekend here. It's a minor knee injury. We'll watch for his reports tomorrow. And then I did want to pull up just matchups here. If you guys are able to look at the fantasyfellowship.com, I do have the fantasy points allowed stuff up for you guys this week. The matchups we want to take advantage of this week, I think that Dallas-Minnesota game could be kind of fun. I actually think the Vikings offense, they dumbed things down last week for JJ McCarthy, and it worked. And I think it's going to continue to look better against the Cowboys this weekend. I'm looking at the Cincinnati Bengals versus Ravens. Like, we know the Bengals are they're the clear worst team against tight end by a mile. They're allowing 24 fantasy points per game to the tight end. So for that reason, I'm going to have Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely ranked pretty highly this week. 15 touchdowns allowed to the tight end position. So there's a really good chance both tight ends eat for the Ravens. Other matchups we like this week. Looks like I messed that one up here. Yeah, that Giants Commanders game, 2 really bad defenses there. I think there could be some fun there for both offenses, whether it's Wandale and Dart, Tyrone Tracy, Theo Johnson, or basically Mariota, Terry, a little bit of Debo. With Zach Ertz gone too, that's also going to make me like Terry and Debo a little bit more. Okay. So we got Trevor Lawrence, a first in 27 and a mid-2 next draft. I don't hate it. I think I'm about as big of a Trevor Lawrence fan as you can find. I think he's a good he's not a great quarterback. He's a good quarterback, top 12, top 15. He's starting to play really well with Jacoby Myers and company. I don't hate that. You're getting some consistency here. And Jalen Hurts just really has not shown any growth as a passer of late here, and just a running style quarterback as he gets older. I think I'm into this, and we'll see where that 2027 first ends up. If that's a top 5 first, it's going to look really nice. Out of Likely had a nice game against the Ravens. I think it was Thanksgiving night, so I'm not too afraid of this matchup starting Likely. Again, it's literally the best matchup on paper that you could have. He went 5 for 95. He almost had that one weird touchdown, so it could have been a bigger day. And then in week 14 against the Steelers, he gets you another 12.5 fantasy points here. So Likely, he's had 6 targets in each of the last 2 games. He's kind of the number 2 target right now behind Zay Flowers. So I'm going to expect another 4 or 5, maybe 6 catches in this one. So I'll give you your 10 fantasy points here, something like 4 for 60 in that range here. And then if he does get you the touchdown, that's what's going to get you the 16 to 18 points. So I expect Likely to play pretty well in this one. Again, the Cincinnati Bengals, the clear worst team against opponent tight end. So that's where you want to be. They've allowed 1,200 yards to the tight end this year. They've allowed 15 touchdowns, 97 catches. These are all the most by a mile here. So this is definitely something that we're going to continue to attack. Interesting. Okay. Well, it's nice to have control of your destinies. Man. We were just talking about Jalen Hurts in that trade here. I mean, on paper, this is a great matchup for Jalen Hurts. This is what you want going against the Raiders. 2 games in a row that they've lost here. I would like to think that things are going to be better. But I don't know, man. This is a game where they should put up 30-plus points on the Raiders. So I think so. He needs to get in the rushing column for a touchdown. He needs to throw a touchdown or 2 to his guys. I'm expecting him to probably be over 20 fantasy points this weekend. I just don't know if we're going to see – and who knows? Maybe it's one of those games where just Hurts throws for 4 touchdowns in a row. Like everything just happens for them, and they kind of exercise some demons in this one. So I think I'm probably ranking Hurts as I don't know, QB 2 or 3 this weekend. I think I'm going to be high on Jalen Hurts, and it's a tight end premium. My head still says to start Terry McLaurin because his matchup is still really good too. Mark Andrews, sure he can catch a touchdown, but he's not really a big volume guy lately, which has been kind of the concern with him all year. He's had 1 catch in 2 of his last 3 games. He's going to catch 3 to 4 passes for the most part on a normal game here. So you're kind of hoping for that touchdown to really make your day. I think I stick with Terry McLaurin, even though it's tight end premium. Okay. Yeah. And right now, man, Hurts is not, me and my friends were having a conversation earlier today. Like, where do you rank Hurts, in Dynasty going forward? And I think there's a legit concern here that, if the rushing stuff ever does start to fade away, maybe we're not as excited to have Jalen Hurts here because he's been pretty bad as a passer the last 5 games. And honestly, he's only been a QB1 once in the last month and a half. So we'll see what happens here. I think moving on from Hurts and collecting Trevor Lawrence, who, Lawrence just needs to continue to hit his 2 touchdowns per game. He'll be around 18 to 20 fantasy points, I think, going forward. And he's got a really good outlook for the future here with Liam Cohen. So I don't hate it. He obviously doesn't have the ceiling as Jalen Hurts, but he's got a pretty safe floor here. So I think you're going to be happy with what you get there. And hopefully that 2027 draft pick looks really nice as we get closer to that draft. For this weekend, I'm pulling up the week 15 stuff here. We got some good games this weekend. Again, as we're getting to the finish line here, so a lot of playoff implications all the way around. I'm looking at that Chargers-Kansas City game on Sunday. I'm looking at that Buffalo-New England game on Sunday here. We also have Green Bay-Denver. That's going to be a fun one. We have Detroit-Rams. That's going to be a great game. And then we'll see about Miami-Pittsburgh. Can Pittsburgh hold on to the AFC North lead? Can Miami continue to kind of play spoiler? There's a handful of good games this weekend. My number 2 seed with Hurts and Mahomes. Yikes, I went south fast. I would like to think that those guys they're not eliminated, by any means with the Chiefs. I think they're going to bounce back here against the Chargers and give them a good fight. It's also in Kansas City again, so I kind of would be shocked if Kansas City drops another game here. That would really be rock bottom if they do drop this game and fall to 6-8. So we'll see. I do have Mahomes as well in a dynasty league, and it almost cost me last weekend. So we'll see. I hope it rebounds. But if you guys get any more questions, please keep them coming. We'll be live tomorrow night for the Start Sit program, 7 o'clock Central Time. We'll have a lot of practice and player news for you guys to get through. I'm going to post my weekly rankings tomorrow, and then I'm going to get my rest of season rankings out tomorrow as well. I was kind of waiting for a few news blurbs and things like that to get the best ROS rankings out there. So tomorrow, those will be out there for you guys. Long-term, who you like, Travion or Bucky? It seems a toss-up with most experts. When I do my dynasty rankings on the first of the month, and I'm just pulling them up here. I still have Bucky ranked pretty highly. Like Bucky Irving is, I don't even have my running back stuff in there. I got to get these updated. Come on, Kyle. Let me go to my dynasty rankings here. I'm going to have Bucky ranked higher for sure. I believe Rashad White's a free agent. I could be wrong there, but I'm pretty sure he's a free agent next year, which would really just open things up for Bucky and Sean Tucker, which would be really nice to see. But my running back rankings, I got Bucky Irving here at RB5, right next to Amarian Hampton and Ashton Genty and Quinshon Judkins. Travion's coming in at RB9 for me, which I don't know. My January update over the next 3 games, I might have to change that, but I still believe in Bucky Irving. I think he's a really good player. I'm going to have him by an edge, but they're both mid RB1s, honestly. If it wasn't for my buy-in playoffs, what defense would you use? I have Bucks, Patriots, and Colts. So that's a week 16 question. All right, so week 16, Tampa Bay. They're going to get at Carolina. I usually don't like playing teams on the road. The Patriots are going to get the Ravens at Baltimore. I don't really want to do that. And right now, the Colts don't feel like a team I want to mess with. They're going to get the 49ers in Indianapolis. So none of these are really great defenses, Andrew. So I'm a little concerned here. I might be looking to add a team like the New Orleans Saints, who are going to get the Jets that weekend. I might be looking at a team like, if Kansas City's available, at Tennessee. That one really intrigues me. Philadelphia at Washington. Andrew, we'll have to talk on the side here about a defense for Week 16, because I don't really feel comfortable. I guess Tampa Bay would be my answer here. And hey, Ozark, thank you, man. We retired from fantasy 2 years ago. I appreciate you staying subscribed. Bill, yes, Bill Romanowski, man, shout out. I hope you're doing well. I hope retirement's treating you well. This was one of those seasons for me that I wanted to retire from fantasy football. This was my most important league, which we're in our 16th year now. I won 3 games this year, and it just I got hit by the Brian Thomas in a super flex here. So it was very, very bittersweet. It was a long season for me. Is 16-year league, man, and I've taken last place twice. And for as much as I do this, it's really hard to take last place, let alone 2 years in a row. So I get it, man. Fantasy football, it's a grind, and you got to stay on top of it. And it's one of the most rewarding, yet the most frustrating things that we humans try to analyze and make fun and just feel good about. But fantasy football is tough, man. But I appreciate you hanging out with us tonight. Thank you, Ozark. You received Travion, DeMario, an early third for Bucky. Guy needed a Week 14 starter, and I saw them as I don't hate this. I mean, honestly, Travion, Bucky, the fact that I have them 4 or 5 spots different from each other, they're basically in the same tier. So you're getting a young running back that you feel really good about. And honestly, the outlook for the Patriots the next 3 years is way better than the Bucs. So I don't think this is sure, it might not look good at the moment. Like, it looks still fine at the moment. We'll see about Douglas and what you can get for that early 3rd round pick. But I don't think this is a bad trade at all. I mean, I like to tell people, you got to trust your gut and you got to believe in what you want to believe in. I think Travion Henderson's really freaking good. Bucky Irving's small. He's shown to be injury prone a little bit here. So we'll see what happens. But I think dynasty outlook, 2 to 3 year outlook, I think I still might prefer Bucky by a hair. It really depends on what they do with Rachaad White. But you got to admit, Tampa Bay's arrow is kind of pointing down, whereas the Patriots, I might be moving Travion Henderson above Bucky in my January update. So we'll see. And yeah, I ended up having the 12th overall pick in my main league in a super flex, and I took Brian Thomas Jr. with my first pick. My league is usually a little gun shy on QB in super flex league, so there were already 5 QBs off the board. I passed on QB. I passed on CMC. And the reason I passed on CMC is because 2024, I drafted Christian McCaffrey, and he completely blindsided my season. So I didn't want to go CMC back-to-back years. I went for a high upside pick that I felt good about, and it just completely tanked my season. So yeah, stupid stuff. I always tend to, I try to be ahead of the game on things, but sometimes it can really backfire on you. And I should have just taken CMC or JT or something. So, that's cool. So you lock down the Patriots backfield. I think that's the way to go. So I like locking up backfields in Dynasty. I think that's a fun way to look at it, and just always make sure you have that base covered. But anyways, guys, that's going to do it for tonight's show. Again, tomorrow evening, Wednesday, 7 p.m. Central Time, we'll go over the player news and answer any start-sit questions you have, and we'll look at any other new things that come out. So thank you for hanging out, guys. Enjoy the rest of your evening. We'll see you tomorrow evening. Peace.